welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about feelings, and it seems like such a simple concept and it's something so easily done, but actually feelings are the one thing that we find quite difficult to tune to actually. And feelings are so important in our life, and this is why I wanted to do this video. So the feelings really come down to our heart. And in our heart, what carries with it is the truth. So what is essentially happening is, as we follow our feelings or we follow our heart, we follow to what our truth actually is, and that is our individual truth. And I have explained this before, but we all are born here with a certain soul vibration, that is a certain way, certain being, certain codes that we've come here to be, that we already are. And the feelings are there to guide you to get to that truth for who you are more and more. The feelings act as a guide. Our feelings act as a guide, and that's why it's so important to let our feelings guide us. We cannot underestimate the actual truth of what feelings are and the actual power that feelings have. And for such a long time we are living our lives really quite disconnected from our feelings, and these are the things that kind of lead to things like addictions, for example, because we are so disconnected from our feelings, but it's actually our feelings that we're meant to be listening to. When I say feelings act like a guide, we have to use it like that. So in a way, when we are, in certain moments of our life, every day if possible, asking the question like, what is this feeling telling me? What does this actually feel like? If you're in a certain situation, asking that question, what does this feel like to me? And just go into the feelings. And then when you do that, those feelings that you're sensing, and senses of feelings are quite different, but the feelings that you're sensing, the feeling that you get from this situation and how you feel about it, let's say, will actually help you understand more as to what's going on within you. And this means that the feelings that you have about this certain situation, let's say, are guiding you to go even deeper, and this is connecting you to your emotions. And your emotions are just basically energy, but it's the feelings part that's actually needed in order for you to start making the transformation. So in that moment, what's going on is that your feelings are allowing you to release some emotion that's actually needed. And as we release emotion, we are really working through this transformation, this healing that's happening. Things are really needed for healing to happen, for transformation to happen within ourselves. And myself on a personal level, I have myself in my life been so disconnected from my feelings for a very long time. And what I eventually realized more and more is how it's always been my feelings that I've rejected. And the more I've rejected the feelings, the less I've been in my truth, and therefore found myself in quite confused moments in my life, feeling quite disconnected, let's say. That's really what's going on, feeling disconnected from not just the wider world, but also with myself, which is the same thing. So for many, many years, I've had to learn more and more how being with my feelings and honoring my feelings was always the key to actually me starting to make the healing process, the healing that I've had to go through from, events in my life, from the things that I've learned in my life, but it really came down to feelings. But I've disconnected myself from my feelings. And the reason why this happens, by the way, because a lot of us live our life, again, really quite disconnected from our feelings. And that's because of trauma. So trauma is how you perceive trauma and how your body perceives trauma. And really, all of us have gone through some kind of trauma in our life, some kind of event, something that's had some kind of impact, basically, for us. And it is really working for us to help us go back to ourselves. And basically, when it comes to feelings in a trauma state, what happens is that we have to disconnect from our feelings. This is what happens, in our human body. We disconnect from our feelings in these trauma states. And when we're disconnected from our feelings, because we're in survival in trauma state, because we're so wired up, we're in this high stress situation, our body has to go into stress, but we're so disconnected from our feelings, and therefore we learn more and more this disconnection and how it's not needed. The feelings are not needed, because if we're not in our feelings, then we're surviving. But of course, what's actually going on in that moment is that in survival, our mind comes in, because it has to, because it's trying to survive. It's really needing, that's our ego, really needing to survive. So it needs to come in at that moment, and that's why ego is needed, right, in these moments. But it comes in so strongly that the feelings get disconnected. So that's what happens, and this is why we are so disconnected from our feelings. And of course, on top of the trauma states that we've gone through in our life, which has taught us this, what has also happened is that the environment around us has fed the same thing, fed this fear. And the fear is in the mind, right? This is part of the mind. This is when it comes in and it puts us in survival, right? So because of that, we're more and more disconnected from our feelings. And a lot of us, if not all of us, are quite disconnected from our feelings. And that means we're not really using what we're meant to, what we've actually come here to do, which is actually be in touch with our feelings, be in touch with our bodily senses, with how we feel, with our emotions. This is why we have chosen to actually come into this earth. So it's really important to go back to your feelings, because your feelings are literally the guide to your truth. This is how feelings actually work. So when I finally learned how to connect to my feelings and was more and more with my feelings, magically, and it really felt like magic, I just started to live my life in far more truth than ever in my life. And yes, that might have meant that there was judgment. You might find that people may not understand you, or there's disconnection from people outside of you, but that's because you are living more in your truth, and your truth will guide you to the right people, the right places, and the right environment for you, because you are more and more in your truth. You are more and more in your soul vibration, your actual true vibration, your pure light, pure love, the who and what you came here to be, that you already are. So when I started to connect more and more to my feelings, it was like a game changer for me, an absolute game changer. It really became the complete start of my healing process. And it sounds so simple, and it is simple. But when you go through the process, because we have been conditioned so much to be out of our feelings because of survival, it's not a particularly easy process to go through, but it is the actual thing that actually turns everything around if you are connected to your feelings, if you are more in tune with your feelings and following your feelings, which is again the same as following your heart. My question is, are you listening to your feelings? Are you hearing them properly? Are you asking those questions like, how does this feel like? What do I feel like right now? How does this make me feel? Because the more you do that, the more you're connecting more to your heart, and the more you're connecting to the who and what you are, the truth of who and what you are. This is your guide again, and this is your guide for healing and transformation. So what essentially feelings are doing is that, like I said, it's helping you guide to your truth. And as I've said before, your feelings and your soul work together. So your feelings being your heart, and your soul that works with it. Soul is always doing the work, and I've done this video on soul and how powerful the soul is. Well, the feeling is really just as powerful. It's just as significant as the soul. The soul is constantly doing the work, and it's constantly doing things that you may not even understand, but it's doing its work all the time. And the feelings work exactly the same with the soul. It's working together all the time. And that's because your feelings are there to help you, guide you through these moments that your soul wants to go through these life experiences that your soul wants to go through. That's really what's going on. And it's using your feelings there as a guide to understand what needs to change in these moments. So in these life lessons, it's helping you to learn your life lessons. It's helping you to wake up to these lessons, and it's helping you to heal. This is what the heart is doing. This is what the feelings is doing, which is the same thing. So our feelings is the ultimate guide to the who and what you are. Your feelings are the ultimate guide to your truth. So if you want to discover more as to who you are, and find out more and delve even deeper to who you are, and be more connected to yourself, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling disconnected, go to your feelings more and more, and let your feelings guide you. Okay, until next time, take care.